A lot going on here, that's for sure. But we're good. We're good. Glad y'all can't hear it. All right.
This is the Sports Timeout Podcast with Jensen Maydew, Toney and your host, Wes Underwood.
And welcome into the Sports Timeout Podcast, brought to you by Jeffersons, free fried pickle Fridays. And also, if you're a teacher anywhere in the area, make sure to bring in your badge and check out their discount. Anywhere from 10 to 35% off, depending on what the promotion is. Go check them out. And then, when you're done there, go to Robert's Integrative Dentistry in Joplin if you're looking for a, brighter, straighter smile. Be sure to schedule your appointment today at 417-622-0404. And also, don't forget to check out our newest sponsor. And this fall has the warm weather. Yeah, it was a hot one out there today. Hopefully this rain cools it off tomorrow. But Tea Time, just south of Ghetto Taco in Webb City, they have started Wine Wednesdays, BOGO wine, and slushies. And then if you can't get there on Thursdays or Wednesdays, get there on Thursdays and do college night. Bring your ID, get 50% off. Kennedy, yeah. You guys going to take advantage of that?
Got to.
And then gameplay, that is. And then if neither of those intrigues you, I got the iced coffee and German chocolate. Yep, that's where you go. German chocolate iced coffee. Got to do it.
Nice plug. Nice plug.
It's good, delicious. Love it.
Strawberry margarita. That's what I get.
You
With
do.
a little bit
you
of,
do.
A little bit of tahini. Yeah, a little
Okay.
Mexican twist to it.
Fair
That's
enough.
good.
Fair enough. Wes Underwood, Clint, Toney, Jensen's out this week. Jonah's out, and we get joined by Kennedy. And welcome into the pod. How are you?
I'm doing good. Ready.
This
amazing.
is your second debut. You came on for an interview, and you liked it so much you had to rejoin, right?
Exactly. You got it.
But
A player at Missouri Southern. Pretty awesome.
Yep.
it's awesome. And two former players on here, and then two intramural players here, and then softball or soccer, and had a couple of softball on, and so here we go. Yeah.
They didn't have banners for intramural championships. I feel like that should have some kind of
No, we got a
legacy
trophy,
Missouri
but we
Southern.
never won the trophy. So
Well, that's true. Even with that, we wouldn't get it. But I like the idea of it. But
You
welcome,
guys
everybody.
even though
Technicality or something.
So
You
what?
guys end up winning it off of technicality.
Exactly.
But all right, well, before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe and follow button on YouTube. And here we go. We're gonna go ahead and enter into the NFL, and we'll talk Chiefs and making moves. I mean,
Yes.
and one we all thought would come sooner, but Kadarius Toney was dropped, and the Chiefs GM Veach had this to say about it, and he goes, "I don't think we're sitting here going for a third straight Super Bowl championship had we not made the trade for Kadarius Toney," Veach said. And I mean, that deal sent a 3rd and 6th round draft pick to the Giants. So from that standpoint, we'd do it all over again in a heartbeat. And I mean, I agree, but I also had to make a meme out of this because the guy comes in, drops all of his passes, wins 2 rings, gets a Super Bowl tutty, and becomes kind of a hero there getting that touchdown. But then later just disappears and then becomes his own person, kind of like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like he's doing like what Antonio Brown did. Like, he just started making up this stuff. He would do stuff on Instagram Live. He would do all this weird stuff. But I mean, Chiefs being aggressive. What have you guys thought about the cuts so far? I mean, have anything else stood out to you all? I mean, the Chiefs also picked up Carson Steele. They made a couple trades.
Oh yeah.
Tight end came over from the Cowboys. So
We should preface that all 4 of us are equally humongous Chiefs fans. Yeah, no, that's not true. But me and Wes are. And for me, the Toney thing was almost the most boring thing of the things that happened. I mean, I know you watched like preseason and stuff. I think everybody kind of saw the writings on the wall that it was like he's kind of. I mean, for one thing, he's not playing well. But it's just kind of like didn't really seem to have the. I don't think it's on the Antonio Brown like self-destructive ego kind of level. I think it was more so just he just wasn't really trying, didn't really put in the effort, kind of complained a lot.
very true.
But on a much smaller level. But it was just enough that was like, there's enough growing talent that we don't need the like mystery of Kadarius Toney anymore. We've already seen that. So they wave goodbye. And I think now it's like the perfect mix of like players. They brought in Juju. I'd much rather have Juju than Kadarius Toney. But
Yeah.
here's a weird,
I
here's
mean,
the
very
weird thing.
surprising that he's back.
Here's the
But
weird,
glad to
the
have
funny. I don't think Veach is wrong though, because the funny problem of being a dynasty like the Chiefs are right now is that he did bring us that one Super Bowl with like the humongous punt return, and is like,
Yeah.
you think about all the trades the Rams made, right? They made all these traded every first round pick ever to get this like 9 players, and they got that one Super Bowl, and they would probably never trade that away for the world because they got their Super Bowl. And so for the
Yeah.
Chiefs, they're in a weird zone where it's like multiple players have that with multiple Super Bowls we have. So it's like technically it was worth it to trade a 3rd round pick to help us get one Super Bowl, even though it seems weird because he was only with us for 1 year. But yeah, for me, it's just kind of an exciting. I feel like this is one of the stronger rosters that Chiefs have had.
Yeah.
Minus maybe complete cornerbacks. That's the one thing I could see kind of hurting us. But
Got the man of steel back there now too. Brought back a fullback position. It's been a while.
it's just yeah, absolutely, and it's just hard to express how exciting it is. I know for non-Chiefs fans how boring it is, maybe, but how exciting it is to be like on the precipice of a three-peat. It's like this never happens. I saw a thread on Twitter that was really cool about how it basically was like the 49ers and the Steelers were like the only teams that really took it on. So it's exciting to see like if they actually can get it going, and that will be a thing. After if there's one bad game this season, then everybody's going to be up in arms about like, see, this is why a team can never three-peat. So it's exciting. I think we had a good roster this year, but and I know Kennedy and Toney equally have the same Chiefs enthusiasm.
Yeah. Any other things to chime in on here, guys?
No, I mean, I do think it's a decent decision to bring Juju back. I mean, he's dependable. He's not going to be, he's not going to be breaking any records for the Chiefs.
Sure.
However, he's a good player. He's a good athlete. And when you throw at him, he's a playmaker. I don't think it's a bad move by the Chiefs whatsoever. I'm not saying I like that decision, but or I'm happy for them. But it's good for them. I mean, really. I mean, it's not. It could have.
You'd rather see him back with the Steelers. Just say it. You can say
it. I mean, yeah, I really don't care. But
yeah, it's like as a 5th receiver for the Chiefs, it's a nice pickup. It's probably what Tony's saying. It's like in general, it's probably not like an amazing, but it's a nice pickup. We've had him before. He knows our roster. He knows our playbook, that kind of thing.
Right. I'm sure he has a little bit of chemistry with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important too.
Yeah.
I don't know how he is as a teammate, but if he's a good teammate, that's also very important. And that's something I don't think we talk about enough here.
Seriously.
I mean, you kind of touched on it, Wes, where you were talking about how they like Antonio Brown, kind of, and mentioned that he was self-destructive. I mean, yeah, you don't want that on any football team. It's just negative drama. I'm sure you want to have good teammates. I will say something nice about the Chiefs here, though. I think they play a very good chemistry, especially with being able to retain so much of that roster.
Yeah.
And they seem like good humans. However, I don't like, and I root against them every single game.
Yeah.
But I can recognize that, they probably get along and they're.
Yeah. The infrastructure is there, whether you like them or not. I guess is what you're.
Right. Yeah. It's like I'd be dumb to say that they're not good. Or,
they got lucky 3 Super Bowls. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, they're a great team. I'll say it. I just don't.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
I mean, I was just say I don't feel like I was just going off of that. I was just gonna say I don't think they're really going backwards. Like y'all said, they're getting Juju back, so it won't mess up any of the chemistry. Honestly, I feel like they'll still be in a place to go forward. It won't really be anything. And of course, like you said, of course, the first game they lose or whatever, something not going right, they're gonna say, "Oh, this is why we shouldn't have let him go" and all that. But that's normal. That's the media.
Exactly. There's always gonna be it's kind of funny the recency bias we can have. It's like so many news cycles happens.
Yeah.
And even despite everything that's happened with the Chiefs, there's gonna be that one bad game. And it's going to be like, man, I guess they just don't have it this year. It's like, well,
Yeah,
did we just see
exactly.
like 5 years of success? All right, I guess
Yeah,
now it's all over because of that one bad game against the Falcons in week 3.
yeah.
First one on there to be talking shit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I'm ready for it. That'll be fun. I
I
mean,
might join a little bit.
yeah. And to be honest, I guess it would be pretty boring if every person just went on and just said, I don't
Yeah.
care about this because they're going to win in the playoffs. I mean, even if it's true, that would be boring. So you have to think of something for content of like, I don't know, the cornerbacks are kind of weak this year. There'll be something.
I mean, Jerry Jones would nitpick at that. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. He'd be like, see, that's why I've been doing it right all these years.
We could be better.
Oh, talking about Jerry Jones. So I remember a few weeks back, I'm sure you guys remember Jerry Jones was talking about how he wasn't going to fold for CD Lamb, or he wasn't going to give him all that money, and the dude got a big old contract off of it.
One of the biggest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure he didn't stick by that very long.
It's starting to look like this is an every season thing. I'm not sure if I know if all this is real or not yet.
Yeah. Are you getting tired of it from his end?
A little bit, yeah. I think because didn't we just did this with Dak? We didn't know if we was gonna have Dak back or not.
Oh yeah.
CD the same thing last season. I'm just like, okay, I think we're getting pulls here, trying to boost up our confidence again and get Cowboy Nation all riled up. But it works. So
sign your defense. You can get another wide receiver. The Chiefs approved that. Get your defense back.
Hey.
I'm sure Dak's happy, at least that they kept him. That's a good point though. They do find a way to keep the Cowboy like you said, Cowboy Nation going, even despite like it's almost like through these adversities, that's how they get them going. So maybe he's playing mind tricks. I doubt it. I think
I'm starting to think so.
Yeah.
But he might be.
I mean, talking about that, we'll head in there, and I mean, you mentioned Dak there, and yeah. I mean, he says he thinks a lot of it, and it is or isn't. But I mean, he said Thursday. However, doesn't really matter to me. I mean, to be honest with you. And then what does it say if a deal is not completed? Just how people feel, Prescott said. And I was like, I feel like that's a loaded answer. I don't think you really answered that question. But I mean, congrats to him. But yeah, go for it. I mean,
well, I mean, he's probably just. I think he feels underappreciated whenever he doesn't get the money that he wants. Probably. I mean, that's really what it comes to, and he, he has a different perspective than we do in this aspect. He sees that the animal has a bunch of, and he's not hurting for money. You know what I mean? And so like you literally play for the richest team, in the league. He probably feels that he's entitled to a little bit more.
Yeah.
But on the other end of the stick, he really isn't, besides showing up to the playoffs and choking, he really isn't, producing the whole. I get it.
It hurts, but it's true. It is true.
It was like all praise. True. It was all praise, and then all of a sudden you just like back into it.
Hey, it's true.
Many Dallas fans that I'm friends with. I mean, they're all frustrated by the time the playoffs come because it's like even they start going, "Are we really going to get there? What are we? Yeah. Okay, we made it. Yeah, woo. Yeah, we're not buying a division championship shirt."
Well, I just think that they don't have the leadership in the head coaching position.
I agree with that. I'm not sure how much of it actually is on Dak. I feel like he has proven he can win games, but I just don't have any trust in McCarthy or Jerry Jones.
Right, but you're not going to pick Dak over pretty much any other quarterback when it comes to a tough situation.
I gotta agree with that.
Like I'm not saying he's the worst quarterback in the league, but he's kind of like the new Matt Ryan. He
hasn't proven it in the clutch. Yeah,
he panics. He panics under pressure when we need him to lock in. He does not. Lock in.
I'm still thinking of that Niners 4th and 1 where he just ran it.
Do you think he was that way, Kennedy? Do you think he was that way before the leg injury, or do you think it's more after the leg injury?
Honestly, I do think it was more after the leg injury or his ankle. But I mean, a little bit before, like he was still. I don't know. I think before we kind of thought, okay, he's still kind of new to the Cowboys. Maybe it was that. And then when the ankle came, maybe he lost a little bit of confidence. But
Yeah.
it's not that he plays scared, honestly. He just panics. Like whenever we need him to run a certain play or do whatever, make
Yeah.
a certain play, he overthrows it, or it's too short, or it's not right to them. So it's just like, I don't
Kind
know.
of
But
like
I think it's nerves, honestly, more than him playing scared.
Which makes me
Touche.
think that like I still even then would think with the right coaching, like if he had Belichick in his prime or even maybe Tomlin, I feel like someone could hone that in. If that's even the case, it might also just be in general their offense is just askew, and he's the one that messes that up. But
Yeah,
that does remind me though.
absolutely.
Speaking of the contract thing, I'm so intrigued. Like contracts are so weird because usually I'm all about like I don't like corporate greed and why does the boss that keeps all the money and then the people that at the bottom trying to work it. Usually that's always bad, except for sports because sports is this weird thing where technically like the cap space like I almost wish I could tell players like the cap space is part of the game. You know what I mean? It's like Monopoly. It's like part of the game is our team only gets a certain amount of it's not like Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, has $1
Yeah.
billion and is like, instead of paying you, I'm going to keep it. It's just money that exists for every team. And you can't pay every player that's good $50 billion every year. I always kind of, that's the one part of that I always say, where it's like, I understand why they want money, especially since sports is this weird thing where you retire at 28. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
imagine if like your dream, if I want to be a comedian, if I just couldn't be a comedian after 30 because I'm done. Like, so I understand like getting all your money now and all of that, but there is a funny thing of like, there's a point where it's like, I deserve to have $500 million this year. It's kind of like, yeah, but now you are messing up your team. This isn't going to the owner. This is just straight up messing up your team. So it's always kind of
Touche.
tough where it's like, I agree with them, but this is a unique situation where it's like you're literally hurting your team. They now can't get that linebacker because you want to have all the money in the world to have one more yacht. So it's interesting. But I do think when it is a very rich team like the Cowboys, it is kind of funny to be like, I deserve all the money in the world, especially when you have this funny situation with the Chiefs where we just proved that we can trade our receiver and win 2 Super Bowls. So it's kind of fun. I don't blame teams like the Vikings or anything for paying good receivers. You want to keep those. But it's just kind of funny that's like, by the way, the team that won the Super Bowl these past 2 years traded away the number one player in the league, supposedly, in Tyreek Hill, and we still won. So
right. Well, and
No.
when you put it like that, Clint, it's almost more like teams are investing in talent on the player side instead of investing more talent onto the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something that gets touched on a lot. If it's like any other business and any other sport, there's a lot of politics that are involved, and certain people get jobs just because they know something. And I mean that's pretty much the case anywhere.
and in coaching, it's the same thing too. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's any. I mean, in any industry, whether it's teaching or comedy or whatever, it's
Yeah. Who you know.
right. Like it's at the end of the day, I think it's. I mean, that's what teams are actually lacking. In my opinion, is like the bad teams. The difference between the bad teams and good teams, in my opinion, most of the time is the coaches. And that's really where they should be looking into, investing more time into. But it's not as fun because it doesn't really bring in the crowds. At the end of the day, I think going after players is really like what people care about more than who they have as a coach.
I know. But it also there's so much.
About how McCarthy's bad.
Yeah. There's so much less. Well, also, I feel like owners want like comfortability, and that's what Mike McCarthy was, where it's like he's not going to bring a great turn like Sean McVay did with the Rams, which is what you should want. Like you should want like the Titans have this guy Brian Callahan who is the offensive coordinator for the Bengals. I feel like that's more exciting. Of like he might be bad, but he could be amazing. Whereas when you get Jerry Jones, just like I know Mike McCarthy can at least get me 10 wins. And it's such a boring, like corporate way to look at things. Of like, he'll give me 10 wins. We'll sell nachos. We'll do our thing, and I can, be in the press box and talk to my friends. And there's some owners just feel that way, and some owners are like, let's take a chance. Whereas players, they think of it differently because they can advertise the players. And as Tony was saying, you can't advertise. We brought in this offensive coordinator for the Ravens who could be epic. Unless
the only
we
person you do that with would be Deion Sanders, a former Cowboy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
or you go down to Arkansas and Bobby Petrino.
That's a great point actually, because we just saw this with the Lakers, where I mean, he might be a good coaching hire, but they got JJ Redick, who's a famous podcaster slash player, which is like a way more exciting hire to talk about if you're, like, hey, come to Lakers games. We got JJ Redick as their coach, as opposed to Tom Linehan, who you've never heard of, who coached for UConn. Anyways, long contract talk, but I've always had that thought. I've always wanted to say that because I always feel like I feel bad saying like you just shut up and take less money, but it's really about this odd thing of like, the cap space is part of the game. You get paid millions to play this sport. It's like if someone, wants to be, a technician their whole life, they have to accept the fact that they're not going to get paid $90 billion. That's the same thing in sports. You're going to have to take a little bit less because part of this game is that there's a cap space with every team. Anyways, I doubt any of these NFL players are listening, but if you are, and especially ones that have the opportunity to make $500 million. But if
you ready for that? Yeah.
Podcast.
Hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Before we jump ship on this, because I'm genuinely curious. I don't know if you guys know at all, but how does like a team go about like increasing their cap space? Because I feel like that could be they could play into that and make the game more.
Yeah,
you get a guy like Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson, who gave up 32 or 35 million in his salary. Guys like Patrick Mahomes, they do. Oh, well,
that's not what I mean though. What I'm saying is like
the team in general.
Yeah, that's set by the league.
Right. Well, I know it's that's stupid. Like in my opinion, it should be of results, right? So if as much as I would hate it, it wouldn't be bad if the Chiefs after every Super Bowl, like whoever wins the Super Bowl, ends up getting an extra 10 million in cap space or whatever.
Oh God.
I mean, yeah. I feel like
I used to think that's how it would work too, but I feel like that makes sense. But if that was the case, it'd be a lot of teams with not a lot.
Oh my gosh,
a lot of cap space.
Yeah, I know. And we kind of see, I mean, we don't see it where it escalates with each win, but we've seen this in baseball how terrible it can be. I think personally, where it's just like the Dodgers, Yankees, they just have everything, and it makes it no fun because you kind of just have to hope.
Oh man, yeah.
You have to hope that the Royals or Athletics can just luck into doing a Moneyball situation.
Let's go Royals.
But maybe sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say in the NFL, it's different because it's like there's so many players. There has to be a cap space because of like safety reasons. They have to have this amount of players, and you can't just be getting all these kind of odd settings. And to be honest, it's just a part of the game. I feel like is kind of it's like how everybody has the same amount of money in Monopoly. You have your starting thing.
Does everybody technically have like if they were to fire absolutely everybody in the roster, would they all have the same amount?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not like the Cowboys actually have more money, but what can happen is, and this happens in NBA too, is that sometimes the owners are more rich, so they can do extra things with their stadiums, extra like with the locker rooms, things that make it more enticing, that makes it feel more epic. Whereas if
throw in incentive deals, like get the players something.
Yeah, incentive
contracted.
deals. That's the other thing. Incentive deals like wink, wink sponsorships. That kind
Travis
of thing.
Kelce, Pfizer, Taylor Swift, and Travis Kelce. That'll get you a few million.
I'm sure Clark Hunt was a big part of that decision. But yeah, I think.
Hey, Taylor. Yeah.
The owner of the Kansas City Chiefs.
I know this single guy. Would you like to write a song?
It's also the funny thing about the owners.
Maybe if it was results based, the cap space, we would have less owners and football, like football teams that go for the media and just settle with not winning or going, just 10 wins and no further.
You're probably right, actually.
Absolutely.
They'd be so tempted just to be like, as long as I just stay the course. It's like it's like getting what is that when you get relegated? It's like we don't want to get relegated to no points.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But anyways, I with CeeDee Lamb, and I think you're about to bring up Brandon Ayuk. It's the same thing where it's like I understand where they're coming from, but to be honest, I kind of learned it from the Tyreek Hill thing, where I was like,
sure.
Especially with the NFL team, where you have so many positions to fill out. It's not like basketball, where it's like we just need 5 guys. So if we have LeBron James, that's half of it.
That's already a restaurant, Clint.
There we go. If we have 5 guys with their fries in a bag, then we can have half of it. Anyways,
Hey,
but yeah, that's the end of
oh,
that. No more money
fair
talk.
enough. True, true. And since we kind of threw Deshaun in there and talked about that a little bit, we'll go ahead and move on and go into the soccer talk. And that's brought to you by the Corner Kick and Neosho. Be sure to stop by the Corner Kick, located at 1411 Blue Oak Lane, Suite C, Neosho, Missouri. They have the largest soccer store in Southwest Missouri, Northwest Arkansas, Southeastern Kansas, and Northeastern Oklahoma. And be sure to check them out Tuesday through Sunday for your football needs. And right now, they're offering 10% off for all kids who signed up for local city and rec leagues. So go check them out and go visit Sam down there and maybe get one of these sweet Sporting Kansas City kits or, Man U, something like that. Chelsea, I don't know, whoever. But, well, first up, we'll go ahead and talk sporting. And they had a phenomenal performance against Orlando. They pitched a clean sheet, scored 3 big goals in that match, and then went on Tuesday in cup play to advance to the finals in the Lamar Cup as they won 2-0 over Indy after a huge rain delay. Lots of complications with that. Thoughts and prayers go out to the 17-year-old fan that got hit by a car during that monsoon out there. So good luck for them, and hopefully everything goes well. But yeah, I mean, look, if Sporting's found themselves again, if Polito, Rosero, Voltaire, Shalloway, Davis, Afrifa, if all these guys can come together with the last 10 points needed, they have 21 points left available to gain. I mean, this could be a special situation, just like it was last year. We'd love to see it as fans. It's incredible, but yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Sporting? I mean, can they make it happen? Really, is what I would say.
Someone else has something to say, but my main thought is like they did it last year, so they at least have the, they have the
Ability, yeah.
knowledge. They have the knowledge to say it's like if we did it once, it's not as much as like a miracle, but
And
go ahead, Tony.
I was just saying, and the talent.
Yeah.
They have the knowledge, and the talent. Just to add on to that, I mean, it's very simple. Like all the talent that you wanted on the team, is still there.
Are the playoffs coming up soon?
Yeah, I think there's about 2 months left in the season, month and a half, maybe somewhere in there.
It's like on the baseball schedule, I guess. But
Yeah.
okay, so they're still behind, though. You're saying, and they need to.
Oh yeah, they've got work to do. I mean, 3 points was huge. Kennedy, I mean, in an aspect like this, like what are you thinking as a player with that many points left on the table and only being down so much?
I mean, it's definitely not impossible, especially since they've been here before. I mean, when you're in that position as a team, you know what it feels like to want it. And I mean, if you fight out of that spot before, you can definitely do it again.
Absolutely.
I think it's just going to take them figuring out, what's going wrong. Why are we, in the same spot that we were? And just kind of figuring out, okay, what can we do? Really, all you can do in that moment is figure out what needs to be fixed and go out there and fix it. So just really focusing in. That's all they can do, really.
Is it possible in soccer to have like a almost like schematic shift halfway through a season? Like where it's like you actually can figure something out that in the same way that we'll see this in the NFL, NBA certainly, where it's like, we found out.
I feel like their tactics change so much and it's game by game. Like, I mean, maybe, but
like they're still experimenting, maybe.
I feel like if you have the talent and you can really get everybody, like if the talent's there and you just know, okay, what we're doing isn't working, as long as you get everybody on the same page, I feel like it could shift. But getting everybody on the same page, it's hard because, well, you have a bunch of different people that you're trying to be like, okay, you do this, you do that. So it's hard, but I feel like it's not impossible, especially at that level, because at the end of the day, they all want the same thing. So
yeah. And it does seem like in soccer more than anything, it's like if you can get in a groove, like I feel like we see all the time, like teams just get like on a 2-month hot streak.
Yeah.
Where it's like, now this goes here, then this person like, I knew you were gonna kick it over here.
Yeah. Once it's together, it's together.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. Like, I'm kind of talking on the side of my mouth because I don't know much about it, but every time I watch it and announce for it, I was like, I feel like they know where each other's gonna kick it, and that kind of simpatico is just like kind of hard to explain, and it's like that's when a team's really in a groove.
Practice,
Yeah.
practice.
And I can't
Yes,
tell when it's
exactly.
schematic and when it's just for some reason these players finally lifted up to their level and started playing well. But hopefully Sporting does it.
Yeah, I
So
feel like at that level, like most of the time, it's definitely just finding like, oh, okay, this works for us, and then at that point, just know that the pieces that you move in and out of the puzzle still fit. That's
Oh
what it
yeah.
is, because you'll have
Absolutely.
players coming off the bench or they're already starting and stuff like that. You just have to make sure like everybody's there. That's why sometimes I think it takes a little bit of time for things to get rolling, but once they do, then it's like, okay, we're in our group and we got it going.
Yeah, because you have 11 people that you're
Right.
trying to. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
hey
Yeah.
Kennedy, could you touch on? So this is just because I don't know, and I'm sure Wes nor Clint know either. How does like a practice, like a regular soccer practice go typically? Like, what is it that they do? Like how does somebody? I mean, besides just scrimmaging, like obviously
Yeah.
there's you can do right to warm up. Like just from being involved in sports, obviously you stretch, you warm up, you do some drills, and then do they just like what do they just like scrimmage
So,
time, or what is it? What is it?
so most of the time, scrimmaging, like for me, it was one of the kind of last things we did, like at the end of practice. So most of the time before, we'll have certain drills that are like, we try to make them like game like. So it's almost like running plays of football, but it's like, say you're working your formation. So say you're in a 4-3-3 and your winger doesn't really know where they need to move on the ball or off the ball or where they are position wise. Okay, so we're running that drill to figure out if it starts at the keeper, who does it go to next in the back line? And then where can we play it next for it to move, all the way up and obviously go score. So kind of just
Yeah,
drills working on formation or passing drills to, that kind of relate to if you're needing to turn and make a pass forward, basically anything like that.
And is this happening like? I mean, this is in the details, but I'm actually kind of curious now. Are they like stopping a play, or are they letting it all roll out and then saying afterwards, okay, so what should happen was when they pass it
So
here?
I think it depends on the coach and also depending on what you're trying to work on. Because I've had both. I've experienced both. This season, more like personally here at Missouri Southern, we're trying a new formation. So, and we have a bunch of new freshmen. So what we're really focused on is making sure everyone knows their role. So for us, we're doing the more formation based drills. And sometimes my coaches will stop and be like, hey, so instead of doing that, do this. Or sometimes we'll play it all the way through. And then, for example, they'll pull me off to the side and be like, hey, start checking closer or start pulling away when they're dribbling at you. So it kind of depends on, especially if the flow is going already. I don't think they like to stop and then tell us, so they'll just tell us after. But
I see.
like the younger players, they'll kind of stop in that moment so they know, okay, like, do this instead. But I think when you're older, you can kind of just hold off until after, and it's something you can just fix,
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
next round. Yeah. So
I got
it
you.
kind of depends.
And I'm sure it's the same thing with like watching tape afterwards, right?
Yeah.
If there's that kind of, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everything
Same
I would
thing.
have said to a T, Tony. Everything I would have said.
Yeah. And I knew that too. I wanted the audience to know because you would say it better than I would.
Kennedy can articulate it way better than we.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
knew it all easily. Yeah, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Then they
Just a
stop you.
refresher.
I've never watched a soccer practice, right? And so
Yeah.
and like really even a baseball practice, really, pretty much anything that isn't football or wrestling. I'm not really familiar how practices run.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense when you break
And
it down.
yeah, exactly. Because in soccer is even more curious for me because it's so long. Like it's so.
It is.
This person runs all the way up. It's not just like a single NBA inbound play.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is why that makes sense then. Then it's kind of you just run through it because it would be kind of aggravating. Just like you're not even halfway down the field yet, and it's like stop. Okay, before you get
exactly.
there, it's like, oh, okay. Well, I was going to, but
yeah, definitely depends on the moment. Yeah.
So in that case, it makes sense why a team could like slowly but like this sounds very like we're ignorant about this, but a team could slowly but surely throughout the season, like through tape and through these little moments, get better because of just individual players getting better at what they were doing. So that kind of makes sense.
I've played 3 matches and I played little league soccer. There's not much difference, Clint. No, I'm just kidding. There's quite a bit of difference.
You played the press junket game with the current.
I did.
You equally had practice.
I stepped onto a pro field. A lot of people can't say that.
I know. You should have kicked it in the river, but
Wasn't it slapped your butt?
the rapper,
Yeah.
So well, yeah.
the
Oh
KC,
man, what is his name?
the slap
Red
your butt.
Tech Nine.
Tech 9, yeah.
got song
He,
Red
he
Nose.
got me good.
It's a teammate.
Got me, told me I was too slow and that I needed to speed it up. And I looked at him and I was just like, thanks. Peace out.
Also, I want to catch
All
this because I don't think Mizzou's not on this setup, right?
Not this
right
one,
now,
but they're up 48-0, right?
they're up 48
As
to
we
nothing.
record.
It's like,
Yeah.
are they, just side note, are they going to be like really good this year?
Wow.
Yeah, this is the first time they've looked this well in the preseason games. I mean, it's not preseason, it's a regular season,
No,
but this is the first time
they look amazing.
Last year they struggled a little bit. This year they've got it together. It looks like I'm watching it on the big screen up here, and
That's something to look forward
48-0.
to. And
Where
they
are
got
they
the
playing?
best. I mean, they're playing Murray State. So
Murray
nothing.
State right now, yeah.
But they got the best like receiver in the league and all that. So that's something
Indeed.
to keep your eye on is for more Sports Timeout podcast topics.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll cover them for sure with Whit Hafer going there from Joplin. Got a lot of stuff to look forward to there. But lastly, in the NWSL, we talked current, and they lose big last week, 4-1 to the Spirit. Kennedy, I know you like Trinity Rodman, so you probably aren't at a loss for words there, but I'm at a loss for words, and they find themselves in third place, ahead of Gotham by 1 point, and 9 games left to go for them. Of their next 5, they head to the Courage. They come home to take on Utah. Then they face the top of the table. I mean, they have a rematch against Orlando, Marta, Banda. It's going to be a tough task. Then you return home against Rodman and SAR and the Spirit. That's going to be another tough task. And then to wrap up September, they get to host Gotham, Lynn Williams, Ella Stevens, Niswanger. Essentially, the playoffs are in their hands out of those 9 remaining games there, but those 4 that they've got right there, or 5, I mean, that's going to be a tough task. They have 4 at home, 5 on the road. But look, September alone, you need all 15 points, and then maybe get to relax a little bit in September. I mean, just maybe rest your players at that point. But now you got to have all hands on deck to get back at the top of this table, or things could go south pretty quick. But what are your thoughts on the league right now? Do you think the Current can jump back up, or do you think they pretty much stay put where they're at?
I mean, those are tough games they have coming up. I think it'll definitely depend on how they show up in those. Like I said,
don't play that lightly. They are tough games.
Yeah, I know. I always like to say, anything can happen and things go either way, but it's definitely gonna it'll be determined by how they show up and how they play in those games because they're not easy. It's gonna be good to watch for us, but I know it's gonna be tough to play. As a player, they'll just have to, of course, like I was saying before, focus in. That's any team, but
absolutely,
I don't know. They have a chance, but at the same time, you never know.
True.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that's pretty much what I was going to say. Kennedy, I got another question for you, kind of. When you watch like like NWSL, like whenever I was playing football, I see players just on their average play. I'm like, that's easy. I could do that. Like I literally practice that all the time. Do you think like you see them like make a mistake where you typically wouldn't make a mistake, or I wouldn't, in this case, but do you see that whenever you watch, professional soccer yourself? You're like, I could easily do that.
Definitely. And it might be a stretch sometimes, but I definitely watch it. I'm like, I could do that. Or I'll be screaming at my TV. I'm like, why are y'all playing like this? Like my team doesn't even play like this. It happens all the time. But yeah, sometimes I'll watch a team. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could be out there playing right now. I don't know what's going on, or I definitely watch, or I'll even watch the highlight videos, and I'm like, I'm trying that tomorrow. I could do that. So
hey, that's the confidence you need.
It happens all the time. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like definitely with like turnovers and stuff too. I'll feel that where it's like, dude, of course you don't do that.
I'm gonna get.
Of course, in the moment it's different, but in your head it's like, obviously you shouldn't have pitched it back.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna get Rodman's little turn move that she does where she makes them every single time. I'm gonna get that down eventually.
Oh, is that a patent move of hers?
Oh yeah, I'm putting it in my pocket. I'll get
Yeah.
it eventually.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
works
Okay.
every
Okay.
time. I'm like, oh my god.
We're gonna see the
Hope to
progress
see
of
that
that,
by
like, the
hope to
end of
see
the
that by
year.
MIAA play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll see it.
Yes.
All
Hit the Kennedy
right,
update
and
with the turnaround. Also, side note, did not know this. Dennis Rodman's related to Dennis Rodman. Didn't know
Yeah, yeah.
yep, yep.
I guess
That's
whenever
pretty cool.
when that's your dad, you don't
Yeah,
have a
you
choice
got
but
those
to.
genes. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Explains the hair color all the time, right? She's got that tribute
Mm,
to her dad.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's true.
but
love the pink.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, lastly in soccer news, we'll go high school, and Joplin's opens up today, 4 p.m. They take on Camdenton. Neosho heads to Rolla, and the Rolla shootout tomorrow. Webb City will host the Webb City shootout today against Branson and New Heights Christian Academy. And then tomorrow, Carthage will host Camdenton at 11 a.m. So Camdenton, they're staying in the area. They're staying local. They got Carthage and Joplin. And then, yeah. All right. Moving in, COC talk. Toney, you're on the floor. It's money time for you. Okay. Before the 2-minute warning here. Got COC football champion predictions, and we got Joplin this year returning, Webb City returning, Carthage returning, Neosho returns. Surprise move by Neosho to return, but I'm glad they stayed. We got Nixa returning, Republic, Willard, Ozark. New to the conference, Kickapoo, Glendale, Lebanon, Waynesville, former foes of Joplin back in the day. And, well, yeah, out of those teams, who you got?
Well, I gotta go with Webb City, obviously, but it's not going to be easy. I mean, they have a they have a very tough conference. It's probably the toughest conference in the state.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know, so, I mean, it could go, it can go between, Nixa, Joplin, Webb City, or Republic. I would say it's between those four, in my opinion. But and kind of to talk on the Neosho thing, I mean, I'm not surprised that they came back. They're they're the conference season doesn't just affect football. I mean, it affects every other sport.
Yeah.
And just because Neosho historically doesn't perform very well in football doesn't mean that they don't in other sports. So they got to keep that in mind. But Neosho's always kind of competitive. But I think they're it's between those four: Nixa, Joplin, Carthage. Did I say Carthage? No. I don't know. Yeah, Carthage is is good
Webb
too.
City,
But
Joplin, Nixa, and I think you said maybe Republic.
Yeah, Republic.
Interesting.
Just because they performed very well last year, so they could be riding off the momentum. But I'm not sure if it's a rebuild year for them or not. However, whenever you make it to state, I mean it's gonna do something to the culture, right? So either the guys coming in the next year are gonna step it up.
I mean, back in the day, I mean, you had Waynesville. They were a team to be looking out for. Not so much anymore. After the Doyle Green Beckham and his brother went there. Lebanon, they used to be kind of a powerhouse. They've kind of simmered down a bit. Kickapoo was good. Then they faded out for a bit. Kickapoo might be good again. I know they're good in basketball. Glendale's been the powerhouse up there the last few years in that conference up there. So I'm anxious to see them. But I agree with your initial picks there. I can't decide yet. Come back at me in a couple weeks, but those are my top four.
Yeah, at least also very confusing. In case the audience doesn't know, the Central Ozark Conference is the COC. Not to be confused with the Ozark Mountain Conference, which is where
the
Neosho moved to.
OMC.
Yeah, the OMC.
No, Neosho stayed. CJ went there.
Yeah.
CJ and Branson.
Okay.
He joined the JV league.
And Branson moved too.
Yeah, the COC is now the SEC of the Midwest. So
nice. Also, very funny to me, and Kennedy might not know this, but it's funny to me that to even think of Branson as like a high school place to play. I just can only think of it as like that's where $7 City and this hillbilly Vegas is.
Oh, no,
yeah.
Don't
to
go
imagine
that far.
like, it's just where I grew up, and that's where my football team is in Branson, Missouri. And I guess
you
now
mean
they're
the
in
Boot Hill? What?
but that's a side note.
Kind of like Las Vegas, like you don't think there's like
Yeah.
actually live in Las Vegas, but
Yeah,
people
like
do.
Las Vegas high school. It's like I just grew up there. It's like to me, it's just a town. We just go down to the
Absolutely.
strip and get something to eat, and then go to school the next morning. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Show up on an episode of Pawn Stars, maybe. Who knows?
so I'll be looking for. Has Joplin been good as of recent, like competing with Web City?
Yeah. Last few, pretty much since
Wow,
they entered the COC, right?
I didn't
Yeah,
know that
the
actually.
city's only beat them one time since they've joined the COC.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
It's
And that was
crazy.
whenever I was coaching, so that tells you anything.
Hey.
Coaching.
Hey,
Football.
Tony leaves the podcast. Okay, back to coaching. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Wouldn't mind. I mean, if that's what it takes to win, go for it, man.
He's like, now that I know the cap space rules, I'm out of here. I'm getting my job somewhere else.
right. No, yeah, we beat them the year that I coached at Webb, and in a close game.
Oh, really?
They've always been super close games, like within a touchdown from one another. There's always finds a way to lose them for some reason.
Is that kind of like the Moso Pitt rivalry? Is Joplin Web City?
Honestly, kind of but that's like the best game all year. Is against Webb, and they don't really show up for any other games really.
Yeah, it's true. Some interesting.
But
Right
yeah,
on.
no, they always, and Webb City shows up to play everybody else too. So I mean, obviously that's why I picked Webb City to kind of win it, because they're way more consistent.
Yeah, I got you. Either way, I'm so excited for it. This just gets me excited for college sports. I'm ready to move on from summer and get right into like that fall college sports vibe.
All right. Well, here it is. You ready?
Yeah.
Headed to a local sports update brought to you by Trackside Burgers. They're open at 1515 West 10th Street. Go get some weekend barbecue today. Tomorrow, you won't regret it. I'm sure they'll do a little bit of after the Joplin game here when they play at home. Yeah, so local news, former Joplin Eagle Isaiah Davis made the preseason official roster and is on the roster for the regular season as well. So running back 2, 3 by season start. So congrats to that dude. Much deserved.
On the
good luck. Yeah.
Yep.
You gonna go back to him?
Oh yeah. I feel like I have a connection now. In case the audience doesn't know, I'm also oddly a Jets fan because I grew up with the Jets.
Yeah.
And so now I have this connection of this player who grew up in my technical hometown, even though I'm in California. So very confusing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And is on
California.
My Jets team. And he was Joplin, right? Not Web City. Joplin.
Nope.
Okay.
Yep.
Right on.
And college football here. MSSU played their first game last night. They took on Midwestern State in an odd game. Going into the half, it was 5-3 and in favor of Midwestern State, and Midwestern State pulled it out 18-11 in the fourth quarter. Missouri Southern just couldn't get things pulled together. Defensive battle all game. I don't know if it was raining. I didn't get to see that. I just paid attention to the stats, but heck of a game there in the first game, and hopefully they get some ready for MIAA play as they head back into Joplin. So be looking out for them, and excited for the rest of their season. And now we head into the 2-minute warning, brought to you by Ghetto Taco. On Fridays, get 10% off all burritos all day long. They do close at 5 p.m. Located here at 536 Northeast Street in Webb City, and the drive-through is available at 417-717-1261. So if you're wanting to get some pregame food, head on over there. Make sure you get some tres leches. If you don't want anything big before the game or you're tailgating there, make sure to get that dessert and bring it to all your friends. Order the whole thing, I mean, show some school spirit and bring that in. But high school football is back. We talked about it there, and we give our picks. So, guys ready?
Lightning round.
All right. Joplin heads to Kickapoo, and last meeting between these two, Joplin dominated 77-13 back in 2018. It was playoffs, and the last regular season meeting between these two, Joplin won 18-17. That was back in 2017. So who you got?
I got Joplin on this.
Okay.
This will mainly be a paddle between you and Toney, I'm guessing, because I don't have much opinions on these teams, but
All right. I'll
you
go.
guys
I'll
for it.
go.
But I'll pick Joplin.
I'll go Joplin here.
I'll go Joplin. I don't know much either,
Yeah.
but I'll stay local.
Your new
Let's
hometown.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next we have Web City heading to Lebanon. New man in the COC. Who you got?
Web City.
Web City.
I've
go
heard
Web.
good things about Web City.
Yeah. Spider-Man's from here, right? Yeah. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There you go.
next up, we got Nixa hosting Republic. Who you got?
Oh, that one's gonna be a tough one.
Part of Tony's top 4 in the conference.
Right.
Each other.
I'm taking Nixa. I'm riding.
Wow.
Well, let's
Upset
play
a
it. So I'm gonna go with Republic on this one then.
Okay.
Ooh. I'm gonna say that they
I
tied.
think it's a 50 game. Like, I mean, I think it's that close.
Really?
Yeah, it will be.
I love
Yeah.
that. And Kennedy, of course. You've been following
I'll go-
Republic closely.
I'll go Republic.
Yeah.
All right, we got a split decision here. Okay.
Yes.
Then we get Carthage at Waynesville. Who you got?
At Waynesville,
Where is
I still
it?
go Carthage, but I think it'll be a decent game.
Waynesville's up by Springfield.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
it's,
going
it's,
Carthage.
it's past Springfield.
Are
It's
they
damn-
or are they closer to St. Louis?
They're close to St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say, I
Okay.
feel like there's enough Springfield.
It's been since 2010 since I've traveled that far.
all
So
of the, yeah, outside Joplin.
I'm going Waynesville. I feel like I've heard their name more.
okay,
There we go.
I'll take Carthage here on the road.
I think we have-
Willard.
I don't know how the traveling is going to affect them. They don't typically
Yeah.
travel that far. Typically, everything's at least about an hour, hour
gonna
and
be
a
a-
half.
Gonna be a learning curve, that's for sure.
Mhm.
But, all right, Willard heads to Ozark. Who you got?
Ooh, home of Chapel Roan, by the way, from Willard, Missouri. Isn't that crazy? Was in
Yeah.
Springfield Little Theater with my sister. Anyways, so for that reason, let's go Willard.
I'm going Ozark on this one.
Okay,
Willard.
I'll take
Yeah.
Willard. I'll take Willard.
Yes.
All right.
3-1.
Neosho heads to Glendale.
Now I just want to win these. I want to win who gets the most.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna see.
Yeah,
I'm
let's try to
going.
win.
I'm going Glendale here. Neosho, I don't think they'll overpower him.
Yeah, I'm going with Glendale as well. Glendale does do something right, and that is they have a very hard offense to defend. So I'm going to go with Glendale.
I'm on Yosho. I'm gonna celebrate them staying in conference and give them the win.
That leads me to agree with Neosho.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then we go over to the OMC for the two local teams. Branson, they're gonna host Harrison, Arkansas. Who you got?
Who?
Harrison, Arkansas.
Oh,
That's all it said.
Who, of course, we all have good opinions on. But,
And
I'm gonna go Harrison. I mean, they're gonna have that.
come on, Branson, Solar City, the Presleys, the Ballnovers.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Harrison though.
Arkansas's got some pretty strong teams.
Some team out of state.
Yeah,
I feel like. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I used to go to a bunch of football camps, and there was always a guy from Harrison, Arkansas there. So I'd like to assume that they're pretty good.
Well, dang, that's a good reason. Yeah.
I was gonna have to say Harrison too. I feel like I've never met a bad football player from Arkansas, so
That's a
I
good
have
enough
to say
reason.
Harrison.
Yeah, they got decent. They got a decent ball down there.
Here's another odd one. CJ, they head to Capital City. I have no idea where this one's at, but who you got?
That's Jefferson City. I know that one.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about their team, but yeah, let's go. Let's go with Carl Junction.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Carl on this one because they've been in the COC way too long. They should go undefeated in their conference.
Oh,
Well, y'all are gonna get slapped. So Cap City.
whoa, F City.
I'm gonna say Carl Junction. Let's stay local.
All right. Yep.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, that's it. Music's here. So it's the end of another episode for Toney, Jensen, Clint, myself, and our new member, Kennedy. Let's have a great weekend. Hope you guys have a good Labor Day. Anybody doing anything fun?
Oh, yeah. Not really.
Son's birthday.
Yeah.
About it.
You guys are gonna do anything fun?
Catching up on my
Bluey?
rest.
Yeah, rest is good.
You say Bluey?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. There's some dorm Bluey going.
Yeah, no, we're just they're having a birthday party for him. His mom's side is, so we're just gonna go to that.
Awesome. Well,
Right
have
on.
Fun, safe travels.
Happy Labor Day, everybody.
Relax. Yeah, happy Labor Day, and we'll catch you next time on the Sports Timeout. See y'all later.
Bye-bye. Bow, bow, bow.